Hey! Nikon 32 FM 94.9. I'm Ferry Buffefemo Shikon.
Heaven made a radio, gave it a soul, and called it.
My heart's a stereo, it beats for you, so listen close.
32 FM 94.9, filling the world with laughter.
Make me your radio, and turn me up when you feel low.
A pleasant morning to you from the studios of 32 FM 94.9. This is the paper's review on your laughter station, and it's the 10th day in the month of February 2023. I am DENIKE Adimoago.
Top of the hour to you. My name is GBOLABO. Famous School is good to be here. Good morning, DENIKE.
Good morning to you as well. We start from the dailies this morning. We'll have the Premium Times, the Vanguard, the Punch, The Nation, the Daily Trust, and as much as we can take. Starting from the Premium Times, our first story, this one here says, more troubles as banks suspend operations after a violent protest in Ogun. Away from that, you'll find more ex-minister loses as Supreme Court affirms DENIKE Abia APC governorship candidate. Nigerian sprinter Divine Ududuru suspended, risks 6-year ban. Police arrest suspects who killed Ogun couple's son on New Year's Day. 2023, Nigerian government orders closure of universities ahead of elections. Supreme Court judgment, killing internal party democracy, ex-INEC commissioner. And we take two more stories while we move to another paper. Buhari drums support for Tinubu in Sokoto as APC candidate pledges to tackle kidnapping. And finally, change of counsel stalls trial of professor accused of election fraud.
We move over now to the Guardian newspaper this morning, and let's see what the Guardian newspaper has. This says cancer dealing with high incident cost of containment. Then, of course, here says Falana tax CBN to obey Supreme Court experte order. And more of the headlines is also telling us this morning, stakeholders tax federal government on supporting creative industry. Divine Ududuru provisionally suspended, faces 6-year ban. Okay, more of the headlines here on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning also says Defense Headquarters confirms killing of 81 terrorists in North. And Naira fuel scarcity, TUC on alert, youth begin 14-day nationwide protest. Then traffic hawker killed in Lagos Ibadan Expressway, multiple auto crash. Sad development there. And of course it says gunmen ambush kill 4 military officers in Delta. And Igbo have not given Obi enough financial support, says Adebanjo. Alright, let's take two more. That says Rivers Keke rider denies culpability and that of cross-gender chorister. And the last one here says CBN queries Asaba Bank for diverting money to Anambra. And that's too much from the Guardian newspaper this morning.
And to the Punch, Buhari orders setting up transition panel on Valentine's Day. Federal government sanctions 302 broadcast stations, issues 67 new licenses. Government vows penalty for fuel marketers rejecting POS transfers. We live in fear as earthquake death tops 20,000. Turkey-based footballer Babajide. New Naira confusion deepens as CBN deadline ends today. Presidency, CBN silent on Supreme Court rulings. Banks customers await Emefiele's directive. Buhari's 7-day promise expires. Nigerians queue in vain at ATMs, banking halls. Federal government will comply with Supreme Court ruling. AGF, TUC threatens to sue government over scarcity. One dies in Lagos-Ibadan road crash. Council reviews trainings as 14,000 nurses join jackpot train. Suspects arrested for killing Ogun couple son. And finally, on the Punch, VCs ASU disagree as federal government shuts varsities. And that's all from the Punch this morning.
All right, let's look at the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. Quite a number of headlines there. This says currency swap deadline. CBN keeps mum on Supreme Court order. And we allocate new notes to banks daily, holding behind scarcity. That's what the CBN is saying. And currency deadline, not all governors are with Aerofy. And that is coming from Edo State Governor here, Obaseki. More of the headlines here on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. This also says, Naira scarcity. Our branches are open where it is safe to do so, First Bank tells customers. And this says, updated, Oke killed, many injured in multiple crash on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. And more of the headlines on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning also talks about Castina massacre, how cow rustling triggered killing. Quite interesting. And this also says, aftermath herdsmen attack affected Ondo resident count losses. And let's take two more. New Naira notes, lack of banks, POS operators worsen plight of northern residents. And the last one here says, Muhammad's journey to Jerusalem. And that's the much we can take from Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning.
And we're moving to the Daily Trust. We'll conduct census in Sambisa Forest, NPC. Obasanjo faults appointment of former IGPs as PSC chairman. We'll conduct census. Okay, I've taken that before. Why CBN must obey ex parte order of Supreme Court. Lawyer. Naira crisis. Food traders count losses / prices of wares. Naira swap. Cashless policy may affect troops. NSA. Still on the Daily Trust. Naira crisis. Two arraigned for flogging traditional ruler. Drama as Atiku avoids endorsing gubernatorial candidate in Kano. And we'll move to the Daily Post. Our first story, Shehu Kuti versus Peter Obi. Again, Tinubu Obi divides celebrities. Buhari signs executive order establishing Presidential Transition Council. Court bars Rivers government police DSS from arresting members of Atiku campaign. Your father, Bayero, prayed that I would be Nigeria's president, Atiku tells Emir of Kano. 11 commissioners dump PDP for APC in Sokoto as Tinubu begins rally. 2023 still on the Daily Post. Sokoto deputy governor resigns from PDP. Naira redesign. Suspicion, anxiety grow as Malami opposes El-Rufai. Others. INEC confirms liking tweet against Peter Obi to take disciplinary actions. We'll go on our first commercial break. When we come back, we'll be back with the analysis. 94.9. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned to 32 FM 94.9.
Dan uwana, zai maka bayani a game da wani shahararren intanet na tauraro dan Adam. Ana kiransa Connection wanda ya fara da K.
Menene wannan?
Connect ne, fasaha mai saurin shiga shafin intanet da ake samu ko ina a cikin ƙasa. Zo mu gwada mu gani.
Yawwa, mun haɗe sararin samaniya.
Hakika yana kuma da saurin shiga a gida ko a office.
Connect dauke da ke fasahar shiga intanet na tauraro dan Adam na dindindin a Najeriya mai karfin 100 Mbps da kuma data mara iyaka. Akwai ƙarin bayani akan connect.com. Haɗin gwiwa ne tare da Cool Link.
Kò síṣẹ́ kò sówó, ebi ń pa mí, àìsí ìdáàbòbò, ìjìyà ojúmọ́, náírà kí ló dé? Àsìkò ìràpadà Nàìjíríà dé. Bóyá PDP, òkùnkùn dí mọ́lẹ̀, ìjẹ Gàrímù, PDP, iṣẹ́ rẹpẹtẹ, PDP,
ìkéde yìí wá láti ọ̀dọ̀ PDP Presidential Campaign Council.
Why always Wura? Why does her quest to save her gold leave us hungry and broken?
Don't miss the new drama series, Wura, where everything is fair game. Sign up now at showmax.com.
It's time to enjoy fast and reliable internet connection for less.
It's time to go big in the INT'L Home Broadband All-Time Mega Offer.
It's time to take advantage in the INT'L Home Broadband All-Time Mega Offer. Get a MiFi with up to 125 gigabyte bonus data for just 5,000 naira, or a router with up to 240 gigabyte bonus data for just 10,000 naira. Visit any INT'L shop or www.airtel.com.ng/HBB now.
INT'L, the smartphone network.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
Welcome back to our Break It On Papers Review here on 32 FM 94.9. We are still looking at the papers. Of course, we have Professor Ojedokun with us in the studios this morning. Good morning, Prof.
Yeah, top of the day to you.
All right, let's look at this transition committee, the council that was brought up by the president. And now we are looking at a system that would actually ensure that there is smooth transition of power, especially after the conduct of the elections. What are we expecting?
Well, essentially, there's nothing new here. The president is just formalizing what has already occurred. And of course, what you need when you have government change over to another, is that you need seamless movement, seamless transition. And so what you would expect will be representatives from the winning presidential candidate and, of course, outgoing government officials, so that they can discuss and so that they can hand over and the new government can start running. The word is up and running from day one, and not just wait for the next 6 months before they get their act together. And of course, there will be a lot of things on their plate. We are hoping that by then the currency debacle would have been resolved, and that the petroleum scarcity would also have been resolved. But you would imagine that some of those things will come up on the plate of the Transition Council. The Transition Council also will give an indication for the incoming president of those that may feature in his administration. So it's sort of handwriting on the wall sort of thing.
All right. Let's talk about this story. This headline says, New Naira, we didn't anticipate challenges. CBN admits. The Central Bank of Nigeria on Thursday admitted that the ongoing scarcity associated with the new Naira redesign and cash withdrawal policy was not anticipated. This was by the Deputy Governor of the bank, Folashodun Shonubi, and he made this admission, and he said a lot. He actually said there was one part that caught my attention, and I quote, "As you know, Nigerians are very ingenious, and we created a whole new line of business for people that we never envisaged. An aspect of that is queuing, where you sell your position on the queue for money. Night crawling, where you wait till night, collect numerous cards from your friends and family, and go to the ATM and empty them, etc., and all of that. And today is supposed to be the deadline for the old Naira notice extension. And I think the foremost question most Nigerians are asking is, what is going to happen today? Do the old notes cease to exist? Do we keep spending them? Will the Supreme Court order be followed? Amongst many questions.
Well, the Supreme Court order is the law as far as we know as of today. In other words, until the 15th of February, when that interim injunction is vacated or not vacated, the situation remains that the Naira notes are the legal tender of this country. That's the law. You may not like it, but that's the law. I may not like it, but that's the law. The central bank saying they didn't anticipate smacks of failure in policy implementation, and one would have felt that they would have taken their lessons from other situations, other countries, where change of notes or redecimalization or redesigning, as the case might be in Nigeria's case, takes over 18 months, sometimes a year, or even more. And we tried to do it in 3 months. If they had looked at the capacity of the Nigerian Mint that is printing these notes, they would have known that the Nigerian Mint can only print about 1 trillion a year. And of course, we are looking at replacing 3 trillion notes and so far we've only been able to do about 500 million. So they would have known the capacity of the mint, and they would have known it would have taken about 3 years to completely, replace all the notes. So I think that excuse doesn't wash with a lot of Nigerians, especially those that are suffering at this point in time and are going through a lot of hardship. You'd have thought if they couldn't have estimated or envisaged, then there would have been no point going ahead with this policy at this time.
Looking at the weight of this statement, does this whole situation, whether in half or in full, reveal the true competence of the CBN governor and the CBN at large?
No, absolutely it does. One of the things I've suggested is that the CBN governor, and I say it again, and people may not necessarily, they take it as a broken record, is essentially a retail banker. That's where he cut his teeth. You understand, MSc Finance, and that's different from actually being an economist. All over the world, most of the governors of central banks are economists, you understand, dying the wool economists, so they understand the implications that go beyond finance and retail banking. And so the considerations that come to play are much more broader, much more strategic. And of course, Emefiele continues to reveal himself as being limited in his ability to grasp even fundamentals of the economy. So part of it has to do with this training. And will you blame him? You blame those that appointed him and reappointed him in the first place. But also part of it also has to do with the Nigerian setup ourselves. We really have the capacity, to frustrate even the most noble of policies, as Mr. Shonubi, my dear friend, the Deputy Governor, has said.
All right, let's look at this. Defense headquarters actually confirms the killing of 81 terrorists in the north. Now we'll talk about the visibility of our security architecture in the country, the DSS, the defense. And I could still remember Shekarau. It appears that the military had killed him several times, and he keeps resurfacing, and somehow people were wondering what was the noise about. Now, the defense headquarters is telling us another 81 terrorists have been killed. Now, how do we believe this? Are they too visible than intelligence in terms of carrying out their intelligence dealings itself?
Yeah, well, I suppose some will say it's good news, but the problem is that a lot of times we kill the fruits. We don't go for the tree itself. We don't go for the roots. And so what happens is that the tree continues to produce. And of course, you may kill as many of them if you don't get to the bottom of it all. The logistics, the network, the intelligence of the terrorists, they keep on producing more. So of course, there's always better that our intelligence could do, and some would suggest our intelligence has not always been on top of the game. So I think it's commendable that they've killed this number, but you must ask the key question I've asked. Have they been able to get to the root of it, the intelligence? Have they been able to get to their financial network? Have they been able to put blocks on that? Because if you don't, then they're killing. They are just cannon folders, you understand. They have a lot of disposable human beings. No human being is disposable, but that's the way they treat them anyway.
Well, we're talking about an organized crime. Now, not just in Nigeria, other African countries are connected, and even as far as Mali. Now, if we still have porous border system, then how then do we say that we've dealt with all of this categorically?
No, of course, porous borders is a problem. And also what's a problem is the fact that our intelligence are not embedded within many of these terrorists. And what do I mean by that? You have to have secret, what you call them, they call them, forgotten what they call them. But you have to have the security forces embedded within them so that they know their next move and they know where they're going. And of course, our borders have to be secure. If our borders are porous, then there will be little hope because they keep on flooding and coming through the borders. So you have to be able to monitor your borders. You also have to be able to monitor chatter. What's chatter? Chatter means that through a global listening system or through the internet, you look at words that keep on repeating themselves. If those words repeat themselves too many times, then you know that something is about to happen there. That's the way intelligence over in Britain is not magical, or in America. They use regularity, predictability, and so on and so forth. And I think we need that, much more of that in our intelligence gathering. A lot of people in the intelligence actually say that a lot of times they pinpoint what is going to happen, but sometimes it is their superior officers that tell them to hold fire.
All right, this headline is across various papers, and it says here, accept bank transfers, POS transactions, federal government orders oil marketers. The federal government on Thursday commenced the deployment of security agencies to filling stations across the country to enforce the use of point-of-sale machines and the acceptance of bank transfers at the various outlets. What do you make of this story, Prof?
Well, that's not really the problem. These people sometimes operate in cloud cuckoo land, because what happens essentially is that even yesterday, for instance, I'll give an instance, we got it at 190 at a particular petrol station, but you have to pay 500 as a charge. So you got it at 190, good, but everybody's paying 500. For
as a charge on the POS.
Yeah, charge on POS or even charge on transfer. Whether you transfer, whether you POS, you're paying 500 naira on top of it. And imagine the amount of people waiting to get the petrol because it's 190 as opposed to 320 or 325 that some people do. So I think it is, yes, use the POS, but I think all these extortionate charges, have to be monitored and have to be curbed. And do they have enough personnel? Do they have enough people to monitor all these petrol stations? They certainly don't, you understand? So there must be a system in place, a method by which you can monitor without putting human resources down there.
Yeah, aside from that, what about the factors that discourage people from using the POS machines, like the fact that the network providers have to, of course, upgrade their facilities? The network can be quite frustrating. And also, some people even do fake transfers.
Yeah, people do fake transfers. But I think the main problem is the fact that the bandwidth of this network has the increase, the use has gone up about 12 times more than it used to. In other words, our network is not even prepared. Our network systems are not prepared. They remain eclectic, sometimes decrepit, and sometimes, halting. I have a number of transactions there which have been use the word hanging. I don't know whether it's hanging. But yes. So yes, it's good for them to issue that directive. But until we sort out this network, they're going to be getting a lot of people embarrassed in petrol stations.
Yes.
Because
so side by side enforcing, because the word there was enforce. Side by side enforcing is also making sure that they communicate to us if the network providers can actually up their game.
Absolutely, and they will up their game if they've invested in the infrastructure. Because if you don't, then there's a problem. And you also know that a lot of network providers, the technical people behind them, a lot of them are also jackpine being the expression that we use when people emigrate abroad.
All right, Prof, I want us to quickly look at this. VCs and also at loggerheads. Now, it has to do with the shortening of the universities for students to participate in the elections. Now, does it make any logical sense for the NUC to say this universities should be shut down at this time, looking at the fact that 8 months has gone down the drain?
First and foremost, I think I support students participating in elections, and I support any move that will ensure that students have it easier. Having said that, the NUC, the Nigerian University Commission, does not have the power, does not have the authority under our laws to shut down any university. The Minister of Education does not have the power to direct universities to be shut. The senates of the respective universities have the power to order closures or opening. So I don't know where this is coming from, and I think if we need to do this, let's do it properly. Let the Senate or the Committee of Vice Chancellors gather together and make a decision and go back to their respective senates. Does it make sense after they've lost 8 months? I guess there's nowhere in the world where universities are closed down because you have elections. It's Nigeria's unique way. We tend to shut down all activity just because of elections. No, elections should become a normal activity that happens in every day. In Britain, in the UK, where sometimes take part in elections, nobody even knows that there's elections going on, other than the fact that you just see polling booths somewhere. You go, you do your election, you go back to work. And you go wherever you want to do. But we make a song and dance out of it here because it's do or die, our electoral system. So closing down universities, no. Making it easier for students to access polling booths, yes.
Would it now be safe to say the university system or educational system in Nigeria has been politicized?
Of course.
And what's the implication of that?
Of course, it's been politicized, of course, it's been trivialized, and of course, it's been minimized. The implications of that, of course, is that we have a start and stop system where students continue to suffer a curriculum or continue to suffer a session which is truncated halfway. And of course, it affects the kind of products we produce, because people outside there, when they look at your transcript, or rather when they look at the university system, it reflects. There used to be a time about 10 or 15 years ago when you went with a degree from this place, from this country, they would tell you to start at year 2 or year 3. We don't want to go back to that kind of situation again. And if we continue with this kind of truncated academic semesters or sessions, it will re-emerge again. We'll be asked to do more exams than the, I don't know what you call it,
the ILTS.
ILTS, thank you very much. You understand? We don't want to be doing that, you understand? Because after all, we all speak English and yet they're asking us to do it. And it's because they don't have confidence in our educational system.
All right, Ogun State seems to be keeping the kidnapping thing abreast, or would I say away from them. They've taken delivery, according to this headline, it says insecurity. We've taken delivery of drones to track criminals at Biodo. And he says that they have taken delivery of drones to assist the security agencies in the state to track criminals. I remember sometime last year, this particular, their road, the road that leads between the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the Lagos-Ogun-Ibadan Expressway, and the fear that encompassed a lot of people by traveling on that road because it wasn't safe. And now it seems like things are starting to shape up.
Yes, I think it's a good development. Drones are the cheapest and possibly the most effective way of monitoring without putting bodies on the ground. So I think, yes, it will be an effective way. It also gives you data. And of course, in real time, you can monitor where these people are going to. And of course, maybe let them lead you to their bases where you can actually apprehend them or decimate them, as the case might be, depending on whether the terms of engagement. So it's a good thing by Ogun State government. I hope other governments too are involved in this investment, and I hope it can be integrated rather than isolated. I hope the next, if it continues as governor, it will continue with this policy, and if it doesn't, I hope the next person too will, continue with this policy.
All right, I also wanted us to look at this, and this talked about still on the narrow policy. Now, federal government is vying to sanction that's fuel marketers rejecting POS and transfers, and I think you talked a little bit on that. But now the quite interesting thing is that the federal government is always like a toothless bulldog. It's always backing and never biting, and they've not been deterrent. Now the CBN too talks about excesses within the banking sector, and they keep backing. Nothing has happened.
Well, I think the problem you have is that it happens in every democracy. When you're about to leave office, you have about 3, 4, 5 months, you become lame dog. And of course, this government is increasingly becoming lame duck. They were before, but I think it's even becoming more pronounced, the lame duck abilities of this government. But as you said, it's a characteristic of this government to issue a lot of orders, and many orders are not followed through, because even within the government, you don't have unity. See, for instance, the court case that is before the Supreme Court. Who are the people challenging the government? It is not the PDP. It is not the Labour Party. It is the same people within the same political party. So the lack of unity there also sometimes affects enforcement. Going back to that fuel thing, where people don't want to accept the POS or they want to accept transfers, I think it's unconscionable, because at the end of the day, there's a crunch. A lot of people don't have the naira. So what do you want them to do? You can't force people in a cashless policy, as the government has emphasized, to spend money that they don't have. It's not as if people have this money. And when people have this money, they rather go and spend it in the market or spend it in places where you have no option. At least in the petrol station, you have the option.
All right, I think the final story we're going to touch before we go on a commercial break is this one. It says, I'll win presidential election because of Buhari Tinubu. The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, has declared that he would win the February 25th presidential election, speaking at the palace of the Sultan of Sokoto. And he said a couple of things, and I would not be able to quote per se, but he said, we're here to win the election, we're here to seek your blessings, and you cannot reject it. What are the odds banking on President Muhammadu Buhari's popularity at this time?
Does he have any popularity?
Well, he's quite popular.
Well, I'm not certain. He was popular. He was a cult figure, but I think as the months go by, as the days go by, with the suffering that many people, particularly in the north of Nigeria, are going through, I think it's been eroded. And that cult-like figure that you could once rely on, I'm not sure is still there. So Tinubu may believe, you understand, that the cult-like figure remains. Others, many Nigerians, don't. So yes, he has to say something. You don't expect him anyway, DENIKE, to go to the palace and suggest otherwise. He has to say something, and it's in the core north. So he has to at least give some credence to that. But it's increasingly becoming clear that this election, many people are going to visit their frustration on Buhari, one way or the other. We don't know whether it's going to be visited in another direction or the other. I'm not predicting, but what I'm predicting is that a lot of people will go to the ballot box, bearing in mind that there's no petrol, bearing in mind that there's a cash crunch, and bearing in mind that there are all manner of sufferings going on at the end of the day. The large projects, the infrastructural projects, the strides made with the trains and so on and so forth will be far from their minds, because they will be thinking about the daily deprivations that are going through.
All right, we go to commercial break. When we come back, we'll put the phone lines to take your reactions. 32 FM 94.9. We'll be back.
Stay tuned to 32 FM 94.9.
Showmax and Jara Air, it's given. You can get 2 months for the price of one. Oh, whoa, it's given. It's given Real Housewife and Flossom Marathon with that bling bling and shakara.
Money is never in short supply.
It's given Big Brother Titanships, passports, and binge watching vibes. It's given what's supposed to be given and overdose. Oh yeah, subscribe now to get 2 months from 1,200 Naira for a limited time only on Showmax. It's given Showmax. Sign up at showmax.com.
It's time to enjoy fast and reliable internet connection for less.
It's time to go big in the INT'L Home Broadband All-Time Mega Offer.
It's time to take advantage in the INT'L Home Broadband All-Time Mega Offer. Get a MiFi with up to 125 gigabyte bonus data for just 5,000 Naira, or a router with up to 240 gigabyte bonus data for just 10,000 Naira. Visit any INT'L shop or www.airtel.com.ng/HBB now.
INT'L, the smartphone network.
E get one man with sabi Nigeria. Him understand the people, and him sabi how to take rearrange every to make Nigeria grow. His ability to parole all the industries them towards growth and expansion, they tested and trusted. Nobody need to show Atiku Abubakar how to take carry Nigeria come out from this poto problem where they don't carry us go so. Him get sure arrangement already. Atiku na man with sabi thing. Him sabi how to grow business. Him can sabi how to create job boku. Atiku Abubakar sabi Nigeria. Sabi our people. Can sabi the work join. Atiku for sure.
PDP! Power to the people! Now PDP Presidential Campaign Council sponsor this message.
32 FM 94.9.
Right, you're welcome back to Break It Down. Papers revealed this morning on 32 FM 94.9, and of course we take your comments and your reactions right about now and your phone calls. Right,
0705 5000 949 0809 7949. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
It's Clement calling from Ibadan.
Right,
I think as always, Prof has been able to nail it on the head. Talking about the NUC. The NUC does not have the powers that they are trying to arrogate to themselves, closing the universities. The fact is that there are some students who actually registered close to the universities. So in saying that students should go home, you are you are making some students unable to vote, thinking you want others to vote. So it should be extended decisions of the different school. And talking about the Naira note, some of these policies are based. I think this policy was based on wrong data. The banks do not have the infrastructural facilities to go fully into the extent of the volume of what we are seeing. We have apps hanging. We have people unable to do a lot of transfer because of this cashless policy. You know, I think even in the UK, it took quite a while, like almost 2 years, when their old note was running concurrently with the new note, so that everything could work smoothly. Sometimes we need to go back into history and learn from it. The Buhari government, when it was a military government, had the same problem. I think Nigerians, we should learn from history and be able to do things better. And we hope at the end of the day.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. 0705 5000 949 and 0809 7949. We have Facebook reactions. You can join us live on Facebook. It is facebook.com/32FM 949 Ibadan. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Yes, sir. The CBN did not anticipate the recent difficulties that confirmed by DENIKE. It is unfortunate that you are dealing on the issue of money with a black man and did not expect to stop the punishment by being proactive. Is it not said in Yoruba language that then let him quickly take action to remedy the situation. Number two, the recent Supreme Court party affirming the candidates of Senator Marwan Ahmed and Godwin Akpabio as APC Centurion candidates and their respective states of youth and freedom actually killing internal party democracy. I'm aware that getting of the recent incompetence and confidence in the term where the minded people go away thinking. It's a lovely that the recent court didn't allow him to technical grant while Akpabio was free because the party nominated him. There is a party convention or primary was conducted, witnessed by INEC officials as required by the electoral law. It's nothing but it.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, thank you for calling. Okay, Facebook comments real quick.
All right, let's look at this. This is from Tulokwe Adeyemi. She says, good morning. The news surrounding the closure of our universities for a few weeks to enable students to participate in this coming elections is a good one, because this will allow more people to take part in the election and help the youth to use their PVC and redirect the country from this path of destruction when nothing seems to be working again. Okay?
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Benga Mario, calling from Apata. Now, talking about the Naira note. The Supreme Court gave a verdict that the new Naira note and the old Naira note equal be state. But to my surprise, the ADF, Abubakar Malami, came out and said that the judgment of the Supreme Court cannot stand the test of the day. So my question now to Dr. Professor now is that, is the personality such as ADF Abubakar Malami, is it more superior to the judgment of the Supreme Court? Thank you very much. Thank you, Mario.
Okay.
All right, thank you so
just
much.
to offer some clarity to that, I think what Malami meant is that by the time they get to the 15th of February, that judgment or that ruling will be reversed. In other words, this is an interim ruling. It's not a permanent judgment.
All right. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
This is John Olariwaju from Ado.
Please go on.
Hello?
Please go on, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. On the issue of Malami, actually, I'm not surprised about his action. It's like the mouth always disagree with anything better, anything good for Nigerians. The same thing he did when the Southwest here wanted to have the Amoteku. That's how he stood up and against it. But at the end of the day, the governors in the Southwest here, they have their way. And I believe that even on this issue, too, he's going to lose because the man, too, wanted to become the governor of every state. But because he wanted to own the two things together, be as a minister and also want to collect the ticket of the governor. But at the end of the day, because the law didn't allow it, so he has to get this one and leave the one. So as far as Malami concerned, he's there in office, his country. Thank you, good morning.
All right, thank you so much, John Olariwaju there. We'll take this from Miriam Yetunde. She says, good morning, that's on Facebook. Here comes the end of the extension of the deadline for old notes will be the motive towards redesigning of the new notes be achieved. Proper implementation, aid effective running of a policy, but it's a pity that it's not proper planning by the CBN governor.
Sulaiman Sharif on Facebook says the 2023 general elections is another opportunity in the few weeks to move this country to a new dimension. But what Nigerians are facing is a compounding problem of cash withdrawal limit, naira scarcity, naira redesign, and fuel scarcity under the APC government at the center. In the forthcoming elections, I will urge Nigerians to vote for credible and competent candidates and stop reinforcing failure from a party which promises to start when Mr. President stops. 0705 5949 and 0809 7949.
All right, we'll take this from Black Haze. Onadiran says we cannot completely put the blame for the irregular prices of petrol on these marketers, though some of them are less humane They have been complaining they are unable to buy directly from the recognized NNPC depots, which has forced them to buy from private depots that are selling indiscriminately.
Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Okay, do call us back on our numbers 0705 5000 949, or you can call 0809 7949. We're also live on Facebook, facebook.com /32FM 949 Ibadan. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, we can hear you. Go on.
Yeah, my name is Christoph Wally from Oluguero. Now, nobody is taking cognizance of what is happening. We are just looking at no new Naira note. It's not about new Naira notes. It's about there is no money in the country. Is it new Naira note that is affecting petroleum? Since last year, we've been there's a supply of petrol to the nation, and they keep dribbling up by saying they are setting up committees, they are doing this, they are doing that. There is no money in the country again. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. I think we should still take one or two comments on Facebook.
All right, let's take this from Omotayo Oluwarotimi Onobamiro. Says the CBN deputy governor says they did not envisage all these problems with the change of the Naira. So why did they decide to change the Naira in the first place? And that's a question.
Hello,
mark.
good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, we can hear you. Go on.
This is another question from Ibadan.
Please go on. We can hear you. Go on.
I said another question from
Yes,
Ibadan.
we heard you. Please go on with your points.
The thing is this. It is not every policy that we do come on the radio to be criticizing. Right now, the pressure of the university, for the sake of the examination, for the sake of the coming election, we should appreciate it to be. Because at least for now, we don't have the system that allows everybody to vote wherever he or she is. Are you getting it? So we should just allow it to be fixed now. So we are hoping that we are going to have a better country come this February 25 and the next month as well. But it is not every policy we should be coming on to the radio to be criticizing. Thank you.
All right, thank you for calling 0705 500949, facebook.com /32FM 949 Ibadan. Raji Afiz Abidemi says, good morning, DENIKE and GBOLABO. Still on the new Naira note saga. Today is the last day according to CBN Governor and PMB. Meanwhile, Supreme Court orders Nigerians to continue spending old Naira notes. My question is, who do we want to follow? Supreme Court order or executive order? The CBN policy is good, but fire brigade approach. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
I'm Jide. I'm calling from Calabar.
All right, please go on.
In as much as this process of getting money from our banks affects me. Now, one thing is, those people who are propagating this thing should be stopped. I look at their track record over the years in this country, and I know that they have never been on the side of the people. So for them now to be claiming they are on the side of the people, approaching the court, so that raises a lot of concerns for me. And I look at some things that have happened in this country before. The subsidies problem in 2012. This was how a very good policy was frustrated by some few. Later in years, we all came to regret. Then, on the issue of selling of NEPA, then they frustrated the minister then for power back in Nagichi, only for them to come and distribute it to themselves again. Now, this thing came up again, this Naira policy thing. So I begin to suspect. So, I think I have only 200 Naira with me. I cannot collect money from back today. So, but it's acceptable. But one thing is, these people who are claiming they are on the side of the people, I don't trust them. So they have their motives. So that's just it.
All right, thank you. I think that's the much that we can take this morning on the show. Prof, any final thoughts as we wrap up?
Well, I'm just hoping that by the 15th of February will be to be resolved one way or the other. Legal tender, not legal tender.
All right, thank you for joining us on the show, Professor Olu Ojedoku. I am DENIKE Ademuwago.
And I'm GBOLABO, famous school. Bye for now.